Hi, hello, welcome back to the I Heart Mess YouTube channel, your monthly roundup of the best of the worst celebrity fashion. I'm Emily Kirkpatrick, a professional fashion writer and a tastemaker in tastelessness. Today we're going to be taking a look at my most and my least favorite outfits from the month of March. Thanks to all of you, I'm now officially in the YouTube Partner Program, which means I can start offering exclusive members-only content. I know there have been a couple of requests for Drag Race recaps, but please let me know if there's anything else you'd like to hear me talk more in depth about, and make sure to sign up for a membership so you don't miss out on anything. Now let's get into what we really came here for. To begin with, I'd like to take a little look back at a handful of trends we've previously talked about in these videos that came to fruition this month in a major way. The first one we have to discuss is Irina Shayk in an anti-gravity bra by Dutch designer Lantank. It almost looks like an apostrophe rendered in 3D, with the breast being dragged skywards. This is precisely what I was trying to articulate to you back in December about the growing trend I was noticing of breasts made strange again. With fully exposed bodies now normalized, celebrities have had to once again go in search of fresh ways to shock and surprise, which I predicted would include making this particular erogenous zone uncanny. We've seen this manifest over the past few months via anti-cleavage, dragging the chest to the knees, and total nipple erasure. And as this brassiere made out of a Disney character's shoes proves, we're only just at the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this trend. There's still a wide world of unnaturally shaped boobs out there yet to be tried on. That said, as much as I love that bra, faux muscle suits, and estranging the viewer from the female form, I also have a serious bone to pick this month with Lantank, the designer behind Irina's postmodern lingerie. During his fall 2025 show, Lantank sent a male model down the runway in a latex women's chest piece, while female model Mika Argonaras wore a faux men's torso. A bit of a cheap stunt for virality, but otherwise all fine and good by me. That is, until I learned a little bit more about the crowd's reaction to these two looks. What rubbed me the wrong way about this particular moment is rather than being a powerful statement about gender and its subversion, it became little more than a cheap punchline. When Mika walked in a men's prosthetic top, nobody said a peep. But the audience immediately burst into laughter upon seeing the male model, especially when he made the choice to grab and lasciviously jiggle his fake breasts. And I guess I just don't quite get the joke. What's so funny here? Big boobs? Plastic surgery? Being gender nonconforming or trans? Being a woman? To me, it feels like just another impotent attempt at being fashion's enfant terrible, when in fact all that's actually been achieved here is the inadvertent creation of a piece of gender essentialist conservative propaganda. Of course, this month was not without its stars testing the outer limit of award show nudity. And the winner of March's most exposed celebrity goes to Charlie XCX and Delaria Findicolu, who is quickly becoming the go-to designer for the woman who wants to wear next to nothing and look fabulous while doing it. Here, Charlie attended the Brit Awards in little more than a G-string and a sheer scarf, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. Doechii took Paris Fashion Week by storm, completely transforming herself into the dream girl of whatever brand she was seeing that day. But amongst that parade of fabulousness, there was one garment that I remained deeply uncertain about. Something about the extreme stiffness of the conical hoop skirt on this Valentino ball gown feels very ominous to me. It's like creative director Alessandro Michel is attempting to entomb the wearer in their own attire. It's the finale gowns from Demna's debut Balenciaga Haute Couture collection without any of the joie de vivre. Those skirts felt alive, this one feels like a cage. It belongs to a Madame Alexander doll encased in glass, not a living, breathing person. I think as women's rights are quickly being rolled back here in America, I'm also just particularly wary of any clothes that feel like they're trying to lock me into a regressive ideal of the past. But then again, at least it doesn't look like old Gucci. Another trend I optimistically guessed would come to fruition this year is that we'd start finding all new ways to strap our most essential stuff to our person, Harriet the Spy style. And while my most idyllic version of this look still hasn't quite been realized, British track and field star Jasmine Sawyers recently covered her dress in tiny totes, and I think that's a great place to start. After all, the first step towards carrying all of your stuff on your person pack horse style is having places to pack it. And personally, I can't think of a better, more secure location to stuff all my prized possessions than an underboob duffel. It's funny to me though that all of these bags are fully functional and yet completely empty. Meanwhile, in other photos of this look, you can see that Jasmine's real handbag is absolutely stuffed to the brim. I had a similar issue recently with Canadian rapper Havia Mighty, who likewise wore a pair of highlighter yellow padded pants bedecked with bags to the Juno Awards, all of which were utterly vacant. I think it's just a matter of time until everyone realizes these bonus satchels are as useful as they are fashionable. And this is a real throwback, but I had to point out that Lady Gaga appears to be taking her styling cues directly from the boss. And I mean, who can blame her? The pop star layered a baseball cap atop a beanie, which, as you should all know by now, is a Bruce Springsteen classic. Well, Bruce and every dad in Massachusetts popping out to the grocery store real quick after shoveling the driveway. The incorporation of this fur vest also feels like a real indie sleaze callback I haven't thought about in ages, and I have yet to see any Gen Z stars attempt to revive. But these plush chalets once ruled over early street-style bloggers with an iron fist. And now it's time for one of my favorite, outlandishly bad dressers out there today, Jojo Siwa. The Kids Pop star wore her latest stupid outfit to the iHeartRadio Awards, and it made me realize it's really been far too long since we last got a good old-fashioned red carpet stunt out of JoJo. This year, she left the DIY Kiss costume at home, but what she's replaced it with is not any better. The stick-on rhinestone eye mask, the hairpiece constructed out of plastic hair extensions hot glued around a styrofoam wreath from Michaels, and this hard front wig it's attached to all look ordered fresh off of Amazon. And JoJo did say she found this hairpiece online. Also, why does the crystal orb at the center of this hair ring kind of look like a yassified COVID-19 virus? It's very Corona meets Chromatica. But my biggest question about this ensemble is whether or not Versace approved it, because my guess is hell no. Although Donatella does have a lot going on at the moment, as she just stepped down as the head of Versace, so perhaps she was distracted and this JoJo look slipped through the cracks. But considering all these pieces are currently for sale on the brand's website, I think it's safe to say this look was purchased, not loaned. Plus, not an inch of this light wash denim has been left untouched by JoJo's mom's bedazzling gun. Because yes, that's right, the pop star is still letting her mom design everything she wears, and I am begging her to get just one fashion professional in the mix. I promise there's a way to do these PR gimmicks that is much more elevated. JoJo also certainly has the cash to pay for a much better glam squad, considering she's charging her fans over $900 to help her crew set up her concerts. I feel like she's about to hear from somebody's union rep over that one, but one thing I do think JoJo is doing right is, according to TikTok, she started throwing money at her fans at her performances, which I think is only fair considering they had to sit through all of that. Given that we've spoken at length in the past about Kim Kardashian's strange thirst trap SpawnCon for Tesla, I just want to provide you with a quick update to let you know that the reality star has now officially entered her Magda Goebbels era. That's right, after quietly signaling that she's a Trump supporter, she's now going full mouthpiece for fascist propaganda, much to the surprise of no one. This month, Kim debuted her new cover for Perfect magazine, in which she once again poses seductively alongside a Tesla robot and a Cybertruck. An interesting choice, given that these images are coming out well after Tesla CEO and Doge chairman Elon Musk gave a Nazi salute twice at a rally for the current president. It's also an interesting time for these images to come out, given her ex-husband Kanye West's full spiral into white supremacy, selling t-shirts with swastikas on them and giving an interview in a Ku Klux Klan robe. While less overtly triggering, Kim is likewise aligning herself with the visual symbols of fascism to a wildly different response from the public. There's been some outrage, of course, but in the world of the Kardashians, all attention is good attention, and controversy is still clicks. And that goes likewise for Perfect magazine, a publication I haven't heard anyone outside the fashion industry talk about until the release of this cover. There's been some debate as to whether or not these images are an ad. I think it's pretty obvious that they are, no matter what Kim or Perfect have to say about the matter. But I think what's even more important than their advertorial nature is Kim's repeated attempts to signal that she is now aligning herself with the multi-billionaire ruling class. Her entire career has been marked by the pursuit of eternal fame, a pursuit made all the more challenging given that it's not based on any real talent. Despite that, Kim has played the fame game better than anyone, managing to reach the highest highs of the A-list. But over the last several months, she's now started signaling that she sees the 0.01% as one step above that. And unlike her fellow celebrities, our techno-fascist wealth-hoarding overlords have embraced Kim with open arms, as this is largely a group composed of uncool losers who can purchase everything except popularity, and they see Kim as a means of making that happen for them. It's the head cheerleader in high school getting lunch with the Dungeons and Dragons Club. We can see this perfectly in Mark Zuckerberg's decision this month to post a selfie wearing a Kim is my lawyer sweatshirt, a piece of merch that came out 3 years ago and nobody was buying even back then. At this rate, it feels like only a matter of time until Kim uploads her consciousness to the metaverse and launches herself into orbit like her new bestie, Lauren Sanchez. Outside of the Nazi apologia, Kim has also recently made a pivot back to the old Balenciaga uniform that makes her look as though she's been mummified in ace bandages. It looks like she just stepped off the surgeon's table swaddled in compression garments to hold all of the new nips and tucks in place. I was hoping the flesh-tone pantashoe she wore to the SNL 50 event was just a one-off for old time's sake, but unfortunately it appears that is not the case. I think I find this type of attire particularly irritating because Kim is coming so close to making this camp meta commentary on plastic surgery and the role she's played in the plasticization of Hollywood, but falls short every time. She's already dressed like she just underwent a full-body liposuction procedure. Why not really embrace the aesthetic in an over-the-top, almost performance art type of way? I'd love to see her fully bandaged up a la Madeline Ashton or Stephen Meisel's Vogue Italia Makeover Madness editorial brought to life. Plus, when Kim actually does go under the knife in the future, she'll never have to hide it again. Two birds, one surgery, so to speak. But there was one small bright spot this month for Kim in the midst of all this sartorial disappointment. It seems she's picked herself up a protege because the latest news about Timothée Chalamet takes a page straight out of her Fame playbook. I joked before that the actor publicly denying he was doing very overt sponsored content on the red carpet at the premiere for his film was the first sign that he was working in cahoots with Kris Jenner, but his acquisition of Bob Dylan's old jean jacket just confirms it. In a piece for Art News in 2022, I wrote at length about the Kardashians' branding strategy that involves acquiring both famous works of art as well as items formerly belonging to extremely famous people as a means through which to reify their own celebrity. The most famous example of this is, of course, Kim wearing Marilyn Monroe's Happy Birthday, Mr. President dress to the Met Gala, which is at once a classic form of publicity-generating outrage bait, not unlike the Tesla ad we started this conversation with, but also a way to cement her and Marilyn's names together in the press for the rest of time. Kim acquires these types of items like Horcruxes. She's attempting to place herself within the pantheon of Americana pop culture greats by force and absorb their icon status via osmosis. I previously demonstrated to you all the ways in which the rich are misappropriating their funds, bringing their bad taste to bear on a whole lot of custom diamond jewelry with terrible choices and fonts. But now I'd like to show you two examples of famous people using their cash in an appropriately extravagant, truly over-the-top manner. To begin with, Madonna put her money where her mouth is, installing a single front tooth made of lapis lazuli edged in diamonds. Of course, mega-carat smiles are nothing new, but I do always appreciate seeing more of a fine jewelry treatment of this Paul Wall art form. However, credit for that innovation doesn't go to Madonna, but rather Erykah Badu, who's been sporting this style for years. Eternally a fashion trailblazer, Badu has been wearing various creative takes on grills for almost 3 decades now, and in 2019 debuted a full opal grill designed by jeweler Lillian Shalom that is quite similar to the one currently being worn by Madonna. I'd love to see billionaires invest in more artisanal, out-of-the-box pieces of body decor such as this, and find ways to imbue the everyday with more gemstones and more luxury. Secondly, leave it to a true diva to demonstrate how diva behavior is actually done. Kris Jenner celebrated Mariah Carey's most recent anniversary, read 56th birthday, by sharing a photo of the two of them at some beach event where Mariah had decked out her pajamas with a full diamond tiara, matching diamond earrings and necklace that made it look like she just raided the Tower of London. And as always, this combo just got me thinking, for all the grotesque wealth going on out there in Hollywood, why don't we see more extravagant, multi-million-dollar tiaras on these people's heads? Of course, there's the French Revolution aspect of it all, as it's a whole lot easier to know whose head needs to take a trip to the guillotine when it's dripping in jewels. But for a group so desperate to differentiate themselves from the unwashed masses, I feel casual diamond headgear has been shockingly overlooked as one of the easiest routes to achieve that goal. As I always tell you, if we must coexist with wealth of this magnitude, at the very least, let it be flaunted in complex and creative new ways worthy of being exhibited in a museum 100 years from now. No more diamond brooches written in brush script, I beg. Okay, now this is not a trend per se, but it is something that I'd like to see catch on much more widely because every time I do see it on a red carpet, I think about what a fabulous addition it would make to any outfit, and that is a fresh bouquet of flowers. I first started thinking about this when Offset attended the 2023 GQ Men of the Year party with an arrangement of white roses casually dangling out of his Balenciaga weekender bag. I found that the flowers perked up this otherwise simple ensemble and added a romantic flourish that implied there was some greater Lothario context to be gleaned about this quiet luxury moment. This outfit came to mind again recently when I saw singer Terrence Thomas at the Grammys carrying 2 red roses in hand on the red carpet. Is it a little bit The Bachelor? Sure. But I also think it perfectly encapsulates the lover boy aura he's going for with this poet laureate of the Wild West ensemble. And most recently, musician Baby Clothes attended the Brit Awards in this gorpcore meets coquette Simone Rocha windbreaker tutu dress. But my favorite part of the look was obviously the spray of pink carnations that came complete with their own $500 leather and nylon mesh carrying case. More of this type of luxe errand running integration into award show apparel, please and thank you. Throughout March's many fashion shows, Chappell Roan unsurprisingly perfectly executed one designer look after the next. But I bring her up today because I want to highlight one of my favorite outfits from that high fashion whirlwind that also happened to be a total accident. After killing it in the fro all of Paris Fashion Week, the pop star shared some behind-the-scenes images to her Instagram, showing what became of her Ludovic de Saint-Cernin dress shortly after she returned to her hotel. The red leather dress ripped straight up the vent in the skirt, leaving both butt cheeks and her thong fully exposed, and personally, I think it's even better this way. We've spoken before about what a powerful tool the wardrobe malfunction, or even just the threat of one, can be in terms of drumming up public and media interest in an outfit. And tragically, it's also become a woefully underutilized one. Because while we've seen a lot of bare butt cheeks on the red carpet over the past year, what we haven't seen is them exposed in such a way that feels accidental rather than intentional. And it's that feeling of getting to see something that we shouldn't be that takes a fashion moment like this from good to completely undeniable. There's a frisson to this feeling that the whole thing might come undone at any given moment. And similar to the type of time-based foam fashion we talked about a couple months ago, I would also love to see a moment like this play out live on the red carpet, where a garment intentionally rips and tears on the body as a star moves down the step and repeat. All that said, Ice Spice commented on Chappell's post stating that her dress also ripped like this when attempting to pull it up over the ass. Which leaves me wondering why Ludovic is using only the thinnest, most tenuous leathers over such a high-traffic area, but I suppose that's a question we'll have to grapple with another time. As of this month, I've officially been writing my newsletter, I Heart Mess, for 5 years now. And over that time, my readers have gotten to know me and my very particular taste in fashion incredibly well. I think there's no greater evidence of that fact than a reader bringing this ensemble worn by a Mill and the Sniffers frontwoman, Amy Taylor, to my attention. It perfectly checks every box of what I'm looking for in a mess outfit. It has the same campy, tongue-in-cheek humor that I admired so much in Emma Stone's Louis Vuitton popcorn bucket gown last month. And again, if you told me this was custom Jonathan Anderson, I wouldn't bat an eye. It has the same playfully sexy energy as a Sabrina Carpenter number, but with more of a slapstick Wile E. Coyote punchline. The matching set invites the viewer to sit upon her and suffer the consequences. You may whoopee, but only at your own risk. We've talked at length in these videos about how nudity is so often used as a tool to generate scandal, outrage, and thus media coverage for famous people. But I feel that if celebrities put that same energy into channeling genuine humor and personality into their outfits, it would take them so much further. Then again, why not both? And finally, I have not been particularly taken with any of the outfits from Millie Bobby Brown's press tour for her new film, The Electric State. However, I was struck by this one leopard-on-leopard ensemble she wore, not for its very wannabe Fran Fine qualities, but rather for this very bitchy, teeny-tiny parasol she accessorized it with. We are not seeing nearly enough parasols these days, and for the life of me, I cannot understand why. For one, there's so much sass and attitude inherent in this object, which could really go a long way in terms of making up for a celeb's total lack of personality. As I've documented in these monthly videos, we've also seen the slow creep of historical garments back into the mainstream, like panniers, bloomers, and knickerbockers. So why not go full-blown Gilded Age with it already and tack on this tiny umbrella, especially considering the already very Gilded Age-coded times we're living in. Plus, the addition of the parasol provides a whole new product that can be personalized and blinged out to match every new outfit. If jewelry companies thought brooches were a miraculous new branding opportunity, just wait until Cartier realizes they could be encrusting one of these micro umbrellas in diamonds as well. And considering every famous person is positively obsessed with halting the forward march of time by any means necessary, freezing their faces into perma-youth with needles, surgeries, and a touch of botulism, you would think they'd be gung-ho to embrace this sun-obscuring accessory that could help them stave off those wrinkles just a little bit longer. Okay, that's all the bad fashion I've collected for you in the month of March. Here's hoping none of you had money in the stock market, and that if you did, this video helped take your mind off those staggering losses for even just a minute. If you like what you're getting a gander at here every month, I urge you to like, subscribe, sign up for a membership, and call up every person you've ever known to peer pressure them into becoming an I Heart Mess fan as well. If you want even more of this junk, you can always sign up for my weekly Substack newsletter at iheartmess.com. The link will be in the caption below. I'll see you back here next month with extra special coverage of the Met Gala red carpet, in addition to all sorts of other troubling attire. Until then, goodbye.